International terror is a major economic as well as emotional issue for multinational corporations. So you can only imagine that CEOs have, ever since 9/11 really, been taking major action to guard against overwhelming threats. What has changed since Friday night in Paris? Fox Business senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino speaking to CEOs.
And I've been talking to C-suite executives over the last couple hours, since yesterday actually, and I've been asking them about the economic impact. Now, as you saw, the market impact has been somewhat muted, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It seems like
muted. Dow's up 223 points.
Well, I mean, their defense stocks are up.
Sure.
Some airline stocks are down, but generally, this is not a huge reaction to this from the market standpoint. But there has been an economic reaction, and this is what I think a lot of people lose in focus of, particularly since 9/11, but it's been building over the years. What have companies done to protect themselves in face of terrorism? When you hear from CEOs, what they'll tell you is that they are keeping, one of the reasons why they're keeping more cash on hand, it's not just because of the tax, the corporate tax rate here. It's because of terrorism. They need to be liquid in the face of something like a 9/11 or something like that went on in Paris that would destabilize the economy. And we should point out that one of the CEOs who has gone on record saying this is Jeff Immelt, the CEO of GE, where he said point blank, the reason for the cash on hand is because of the growing threat of terrorism. And until we deal with the terrorism problem, companies are going to keep more cash than you would see. I should make 2 points out. Just from an economic standpoint, something interesting happened last year. Congress and President Obama did something. They passed something called the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act. That means the federal government comes in and backs up some insurers in case of catastrophic terrorism impact on a company. So that seems to be one of the things they did a year ago, which, in the light of what we're seeing now, the increased potential for terrorism is a good thing.
Well, everybody's on their own at this point, and any company who doesn't have a plan isn't smart. However, I would say this. Last night, I was communicating with Maurice Levy of Publicis. 3 of their employees were at Bataclan, who were at the concert venue. They all died.
Right.
He has another employee who's in a coma.
Right.
This is a huge conglomerate, an advertising conglomerate. He is devastated. He told me he is very upset. And you can only imagine, these were people on their own private time. There's not really much a company could do to protect those people.
Well, terrorism is always going to have an impact because it prevents people from carrying out their normal life. They don't spend as much money. Maybe they don't go to the same bars. I mean, I just can imagine that when that place reopens, if it's going to be the same place, that's in the micro sense. In the macro sense, it's had an impact, and I'm telling you, it's had an impact on how corporations
got to have a plan,
how they prepare. And one of the ways they've been preparing is keeping this cash on hand just in case. They need to be liquid if something devastating happens, and we're going to see every time there's something like this, you're going to see more CEOs, corporate CEOs, looking at their balance sheet, making sure it's okay.